Freedom as in Inkululeko by Mpiyakhe Dhlamini.
Hello, dear listeners. My name is Mpiyakhe Dhlamini, and welcome to the first episode of Free as in Inkululeko. This is my podcast where I just examine issues related to freedom in South Africa, politics, economics, and basically anything that just interests me and that I feel like I would like to talk about. Or maybe you could also drop comments about things that you would like to talk to me about, or that you would like me to talk about. I will also maybe talk about some of the articles I'm writing for the FMF, research I am doing, things like that. So it's up to you. Just drop a comment and then I'll look at whatever you suggest. Anyway, for this first episode, I thought I would talk about the way that political choice is restricted, but not using force, but like it's sort of restricted for black people. Political choice is restricted for black people, but they can say what they want, but they just can't vote whatever in whichever way they wish. And this is not done through the at the point of a gun or anything. It's just done through mostly through shaming. So you'll get labeled things like sellouts, coconuts, and all of these really terrible things. If you vote one of the parties, let's say on the left in South Africa, any of them, you are allowed to do that. You have the option to do that. No one will call you a sellout. No one will call you a coconut. But if you go for a party on the right or the center right or a liberal party or a conservative party, then all of a sudden you are all of these terrible things. You are labeled all sorts of names. And then on the other hand, you have a sort of opposite phenomenon on the other side of it, or on the other side of things. And this is the phenomenon where, as a white person, you are allowed to vote for whoever you want to, and no one cares. But you can't say whatever you want to say. So, for example, you can't be you as soon as you are opposed to something like affirmative action or a BE as a white person, then you're immediately labeled as a racist. And then, but if you're black and then you can be opposed to these policies, don't get me wrong, but you just can't vote against them. So you can be opposed. Let's say within you've had prominent members of the ANC even saying questioning PE itself and all of these things, and no one seems to mind too much. But as soon as someone says I'll vote for a party that doesn't champion this policy, then everyone just loses their mind. And I sort of see this interplay. This is the conclusion. This is sort of my tentative conclusion I've come to observing this entire thing play out in South Africa. I see it as a part of the status quo, or the people who benefit from the status quo, as a way of them making sure that they stay in power by keeping this racial majority on their side, no matter what. Though their views, their interests, anything else be damned, but just keeping this racial majority on their side, and then on the other hand, limiting the ability of other racial minorities, so to speak, to influence this racial majority by limiting their speech, because I sort of see it as working together. So you have this restriction on what people can say, like I mean, you can draw your own conclusions from things like the hate speech bill and how it's been applied, and even before the hate speech and how it might be applied, and even before the hate speech bill was promulgated, where you had people going to jail for using racist language, but then and those people just happen to be white. And then you also have a lot of examples on social media of black people using a similar or even worse racist language, and nothing being done against them. So you can draw your own conclusions about what that means, what are the political implications. But for me, just surveying the entire political and ideological landscape in South Africa, it seems clear to me that there is a pretty smart sort of I don't want to, I want to say maybe idea of just keeping everyone who is black, keeping them voting for uh, parties on the left. And then this means that you delegitimize anyone who dares break away from this. You basically attack them on the basis of their dignity. you take away their humanity, you call them all of these terrible names, and then you call them Uncle Toms, you call them coconuts, sellouts, all of these things. And it's terrible, but it's what we see happening. And then on the other side of things, you have you make sure that everyone else who is not in this racial majority that you want to keep for yourself has a limited ability to influence people in this majority, and you do that by restricting the ability to speak freely. And then you shame this one group for voting freely, but then you shame this other group for speaking freely. So they are allowed, this later group, this racial minority, or racial minorities in general, are allowed to vote however they want. They can, you know, they can vote for Kiss, they can vote for whoever, they can vote for, yeah, whatever party they want. But as soon as you pick, you are a member of a racial majority, then you can't vote however you want. But you can say whatever you want. It just does. We don't have to listen to you. And so that's how I see things being. And anyway, thank you for listening to this first episode. I Tell me if you like it, you don't like it, what needs to be changed, and yeah, I appreciate your feedback. Thank you.